All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich CELENZA show. WTF are you talking about? I'm Rich CELENZA. I think I'm finally starting to get a decent pace as far as learning how to speak on these podcasts, having different guests. I think a lot of times I talk too fast or I get too slow. I also think my tone sometimes can be up and down. And I'm going to actually get into something regarding this, with people's tones, their voices. But what I want to get into today is I just had some, I don't want to say meeting, some groups with some people regarding my program, Mastering Self-Confidence, which is basically a program to help men master their self-confidence in many different areas, including hopefully with women, with grooming, fitness, and many other things. So the one thing that I think when I get into this subject is I think sometimes people, when they hear that you teach something like this, they automatically think, hey, he must be an arrogant asshole or something in that nature. And sometimes, I'm not going to lie, being an asshole sometimes gets things done. So don't kid yourself. You can't always be the nice guy. My mother always says, nice guys, not nice guys finish last. She doesn't say that. She says, being too good is no good. And I think sometimes we've been programmed, or society tries to make us feel like we always have to be a certain way now, because if we don't behave a certain way, we're offending others. If you come off with, I guess, with an attitude, and I'm not saying mastering with regarding confidence, you have to have a bad attitude, but sometimes having, again, an attitude sometimes is something that's good to have, especially when wanting to get things accomplished or done. And because a lot of times, as you know, if you've maybe taken things very light and not really paid attention to what's going on, you'll be taken advantage of. Sometimes being nice or trying to do things very, I don't want to say politically correct, or just trying to kind of, I don't want to say be too nice or constantly worrying about what other people think about you and what they're going to say about you. Regarding your behavior. But here's the deal, I think, regarding mastering self-confidence or getting your confidence up. Let me get some water here. I just had some breakfast, actually. Is the small things are going to mean the most. And also, you're going to have to learn when building up confidence, I think it takes certain types of steps to get to where you need to be. It's not always, for a lot of guys, to go from ground zero and then all of a sudden have all the confidence in the world, because in between there's a lot of gray area. Because I do see people all of a sudden going from or they're introverted, or they're kind of quiet, or they're very nice guys. Then all of a sudden they want to change their entire identity, and now they're coming off as somebody who's now super confident in the way they talk, and now they're acting. I don't know if it's from, I've seen people do this, especially even regarding following other public speakers or things I could see when they start studying other people's programs. All of a sudden they're changing their identity, which is fine. Nothing against that. But you could sometimes tell it's corny and it's not authentic. You really got to find what works for you as far as building your confidence. And you're going to have strong areas and weak areas. I don't think anybody is unbelievable in every area, no matter how you perceive them. And I don't care if that's an entertainer, a public figure. Could be even family members, friends, colleagues. Sometimes you may look at them and go, holy shit, do they got it together? But I can assure you, behind closed doors, there's a lot of things they lack. And they may be great at work. They may be great on television. They may be great teachers or other things, whatever they're involved that you're seeing. But behind closed doors, again, you're not seeing what they're very weak at. It even could be a doctor looking like a genius, and then all of a sudden he goes to a mechanic shop and he doesn't even know how to screw in his license plate. I'm just using that for extremes, but that is something I've seen personally, which was kind of mind-blowing, because my uncle had a mechanic shop downtown, and I'm not saying that a lot of doctors couldn't maybe screw that in, but they didn't even want to be bothered doing that. They'd rather pay a lot of money. And then when he would talk cars with them, and I would think they would have some type of idea on what was going on with an engine, considering they operate and everything. Clueless. So again, don't get me wrong, the doctor's saving lives, but a mechanic is also unbelievable at what he does. So they each have their own realm as far as who's confident and who isn't. And I'm going to give you kind of an example once that kind of happened to me years ago, and sometimes I may come off as an asshole, which I know I am at times. But I don't think for the most part, I always give people the benefit of the doubt, and I always respect people. But when somebody kind of comes off arrogant to me, I have a way of immediately reflecting off of them and becoming, I don't know if this was my background, growing up with a lot of Italian uncles with very bad attitudes, and then I had a lot of very educated uncles. I had a lot of designers that were my uncles and other cousins and family members. I don't know why I don't want to say I go on the attack, but if you get lippy with me, I'm ready for it. I don't know. It's almost like I'm just ready to go to battle, verbally, physically. I don't know why I am. I was just talking to my mother about that, saying I don't know why I am this way. And my father's, I get a lot of times, he says he offends a lot of people, which I guess to a certain degree he may or may not. I don't think he's that bad. My mother definitely doesn't, I don't think. Just something I picked up. But my father used to have an establishment that we had downtown Orlando, and it's called USA Darts and Billiards. And we sold darts, billiard equipment, cigars, cigarettes. We sold billiard tables, dart games, all these kind of more gaming for bars. And it was a very popular place, actually, because darts back in the 80s and 90s was very popular, actually. And that was before kind of the smoking thing, kind of, once they did the no smoking, kind of bars and DUIs kind of, I think, destroyed that. I guess you could say league type. There's still leagues out there, obviously, for darts, for billiards and things. But I think they were just... It's a lot harder to start traveling and drinking and driving. A lot of them used to do that because they play in different bars all over the city. But, sorry about that. My throat, I'm kind of have a sore throat. I just want to be honest about that. Sometimes my throat, I got to clear it. Let me get some more water here. But, I remember, so anything we sold, you'd get store credit. You weren't getting your money back. Cash, because what a lot of people would do is they'd use the equipment and bring it back. That could be for darts. They would use them for a few days and come back and go, they're not for me. All right, we'll give you credit. Same with a billiard stick, billiard supplies. They go test them. They don't like them. Even cigars, a lot of times, we get it. You take them home. You buy a box. You don't like a couple of them. We get it. You want to bring them back. Okay. But a lot of guys would try to pull fast ones on us. But in this case, I don't think anybody was pulling a fast one. But a woman came in and her husband was a judge, and I was very nice to her. I was always very, I think, genuine and honest with people. I didn't try to upsell them to death or try to rip off people I didn't know. But she came in and she was looking for a professional-looking dartboard, but didn't want a stand-up style in the bar. She wanted a wall mount. I think that's what she wanted. Or she may have wanted one with a cabinet. It's irrelevant. I said, whatever you think works best. If you have children, you might want to go with the plastic tips because steel tips could be dangerous. And depending on where you're going to put this, are you going to put it in? Because in Florida, you don't have basements. So are you putting this in a gaming area? Back and forth with her. And I tried to explain everything. And then she spent a substantial amount of money on darts, the board. She might have got a cabinet. That's what I'm thinking. She got a plastic board, but she wanted the cabinet because she didn't want to expose it in the house. And I think her husband... She thought it'd be a good thing for people to come over and have fun. So I told her, listen, we only have store credit just in case you want to return. This is a lot of money. I don't know what you're going to kind of replace this with. She's like, no problem at all. My husband's a judge. We're not worried about that. We have a beautiful home. I said, wonderful. Now, fast forward, he had I think it was for his birthday or Christmas. He comes in like gangbusters. And now he's kind of upset that she brought this for him because I guess he didn't want it. And he didn't want it in his house. And I got it. I understand that. And then he kind of started getting lippy with me. And I think he thought I sold this to her, like I upsold her. And I said I didn't do any of that. I was actually trying to tell her to be very conscious of the money she spent because it's just a game. But she wanted everything to be high-end because you have a beautiful home and everything. And he goes, well, this is something I'm not interested in. I don't want it in the house. I want our money back. And I said, well, it's store credit only. I specifically told her that. There's a sign here. He started to get lippy with me, the judge, and say, I don't care. You're going to give us our money back. I don't care if I got and I had to step around the thing, and I got right in his face. I says, I don't give a fuck who you are. Don't try to fucking intimidate me. And his wife, I felt bad, got so nervous. She couldn't even say anything. She crossed her arms and went outside because I think she thought her husband was going to kind of she knew everything I was telling, was very honest with her. And now she felt, I felt bad for her because she brought this gift. I don't want to get long-winded here, and I felt bad too. But that was our policy. And I don't care if they took it out of the box or not. I can't set a policy and then, I could do it for you and not for you, and then somebody else. I said, that's our policy, that's our sign. I'm not reimbursing you. I'm sorry. You can have anything else you want in here. We have a lot of different things in here you could, purchase. And once I got in his face, I think it was a very different transition that I've seen many times, because when I had to collect money, and I've been in many altercations, it didn't faze me. But when I stepped in this judge's face, I literally stepped in his face. Like, I came from around the corner of, like, I was behind the cash register, or behind. I stepped through the door to come and confront him. And I can immediately tell he knew I was not fucking around with him. And it was almost like I deflated him a little. His shoulders dropped, and I was much bigger than him to a certain degree. He wasn't a small man. He was probably like 210, 220, and he was kind of taller, but I was just a lot wider and just more muscular. When I stepped up to him, I could tell he was not used to somebody confronting him. And he hasn't come across, I think, a lot of people who had confidence in what they were saying or what they were going to do after this, I guess, showdown, or what was going to happen. Like, I'm not backing down, and I think him being a judge, I could even tell the way he walked, even when he walked in, and his attitude, his clothes. Sometimes, regarding confidence, he had a lot of confidence. And sometimes I think we take confidence and we use it in the wrong way. And I think he was. Did I use it in the wrong way? Maybe a little bit. But the truth was, the reality, I should say, is stand up for yourself. And I firmly believe that a lot of people try to either manipulate you, or they're more confident, or they think they're more confident, and they could take advantage of somebody who isn't. Regardless what the situation is. So what ended up happening with us, I think, when I confronted him, then he went out and then he talked to his wife, and then I think she was crying, and then I think he came back, he's like, I understand this, I didn't mean to do this or that, I was just upset on how much money she spent on this, and I didn't realize it was that expensive. Now that I come in here, I see you have all this different things, we're going to probably end up getting this and this. I said, that sounds good, I can deliver it, I can have anything done for you. To make a long story short, when it comes, I would have never been able, I think, to do that unless I had a tremendous amount of self-confidence. And regardless if it's a judge, regardless who it is, a lot of times even people in power aren't always right, or want to take advantage of other people and kind of make the rules kind of, work for them. They don't care. They have certain policies that maybe he would work in the courtroom and say, that's the law, that's the way it is, bah, 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 bah. Then when he came in, he kind of wanted me to break my law as far as how we did things in our store. And back to how to get to that point is, I think it was years and years and years and years of building up that confidence. It just did not happen overnight. And I tell a lot of guys that are especially intimidated meeting women. I need some more water here. It's not easy a lot of times meeting women that you're interested in. Because a lot of guys will really only settle for who's interested in them, or go in certain environments where it's kind of easier to find certain women. I'm not saying that women are easy, but always in their comfort zone, I guess you could say. But what happens is, say you go to a local bar. You have some confidence because you've been hanging out there for years. Different women, I'm sure, come in and out all the time, but a lot of times there's probably the same regulars, kind of like you are. You're kind of all exhausted from each other. It's almost, you all know each other's business. You'd like a new environment, but you don't really have the balls to pick yourself up and say, go to another area. So if you're interested in, say, Latino women, you're afraid to go to a Latino bar. Don't be like that. And again, here's the thing. How do you jump from your bar environment to all of a sudden going to an environment you don't maybe speak the language? You're afraid that there's other guys there that may jump you, or they're women, or you may be interested in women that you're afraid that may not be interested in you, the whole thing. How you do that is slowly but surely kind of progressing into there. And how you do that, one I believe is more than anything is just learning to speak to similar or women that kind of are your style, that you're interested in. If you are interested in Latino women, you don't necessarily have to start off at a bar or a nightclub. You can even do it locally. If there's a waitress, or if you're at Starbucks, or if you're at your gym, there's going to be Latino women there. Again, I'm not telling you to jump them or ask them out. Just talk to them. the more you start talking to the type of woman you're interested in, the more comfortable you're going to start becoming. It's obvious. And little small things are going to start building more and more and more. So, and even if it's something stupid, I don't care if you're at a gas station and instead of just walking in the gas station and just putting your bottles up there and paying or candy and then walking out, and if she's Latino, hypothetically, you're like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How long you worked here? Whatever the case may be, you want to start building up these conversations. And I'm just using this as an example. But I don't care what you try to do in your life. Just start figure out the end kind of result as far as what you want to build your confidence in. I was just using that for an example. So that can even be fitness. I know a lot of people want to get bigger, stronger, more fit. They're embarrassed of their body. They don't know how to go about it. They've maybe been, body shamed, or who knows what environment they grew up in. They may have an eating disorder. I get it. I get it 100%. Again, no one's asking you to all of a sudden go from being obese or overweight to running a marathon. That's ridiculous. But we do want to start giving you the confidence to start heading in the right direction, because it's very momentum driven, building confidence, I believe. Now, some guys are just born with it. And I think a lot of that comes with our programming. Some guys I've seen this all over the United. If they have a military type father, it either seems like the guy is going to take after his dad, military driven maybe. He stands up for his beliefs. He's, whatever. Or sometimes he may have been verbally abused by his dad and felt weak, or he didn't have the confidence because his dad made him feel weaker because he wasn't a certain type of man, or he wasn't a military man, or whatever the case may be. It kind of goes both ways. But back to the fitness aspect of it. You've got to just start taking small increments. It can be as small as walking. It can be even as small as just watching videos on how people have lost weight. How you, also what type of workouts you'd maybe like to try. Reading magazines. Start slow. Just because you all of a sudden decide, hey, I want to lose weight and get fit, I'll just go join the local gym and that's going to happen. A local gym may not even work for you. You may not be able to afford it, or they may not have the type of equipment you like, or they may have, you like to swim, they don't have a pool. They may have all bodybuilding equipment, but you want to do yoga. All these different types of things. First, once you decide what you want to do and you need the confidence to do it, again, just start very slow and start taking the smallest steps possible. They don't even have to be physical at the beginning. It's more mental. Figure out mentally, wow, what has failed me in the past when it came to building confidence to go work out? What was it? I joined gyms before, say hypothetically, I went there and I got bored. You know what? I just don't like weightlifting. Or you may have gone to a yoga class with somebody. You know what? You went there, God, that was boring too. You don't want to repeat what you were doing before. You may be like, hey, I like basketball. Maybe I can go join a basketball league. Well, you know what? They're all too young. They're too fast. I'm obese. You can probably find a league that you can play basketball in. That's your age demographic. Maybe even the type of, whatever the case may be. You don't always have to go to the extreme. And I think a lot of people do that. Years ago, like 20 years ago, I went and my cousin, I used to play tennis for many, many years. And then he said, Rich, come and play tennis. I belong to this club. It was a small club. And I said, well, I got my two daughters. I actually had them both, and I would, it was kind of hard to schedule it in. I go, they're going to destroy me now. I said, this club. He goes, no, these are older people. They're actually professors and all these educated people that work at the university where we used to live in Illinois. I lived there for a while. My daughter was sick. And I said, really? He's like, they're older than us, so don't worry about it, and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, my goodness. I thought, again, I was kind of lacking confidence to say I could still play tennis pretty well. I even went to Nick Voluntary Tennis Academy. But I was thinking now that I was 250 pounds and I only weightlifted and blah, blah, blah. So I went to go meet them, and they were all older. They were all, like, I would say, in their 60s and up. And at this time, I was in my 30s, very early 30s or late 20s. I went and had a great time with them. It wasn't I was so used to playing on such a high level that when I thought about going to play at just tennis, I thought about I had to play at a high level with all these people. That didn't make any sense, right? But again, it's funny how I'm just giving you examples of my confidence level, how it was down and then it was kind of unrealistic or ridiculous not to at least be confident enough to go play tennis with people. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people too, is you think of the extremes. And I was just saying that before, you kind of want to get in shape and all of a sudden you think, oh my God, I got to run a marathon. Don't think that way. Start off the smaller, the steps, I believe, the slower you do things. You may have heard that on my podcast or my program or anything. I believe the slower you move, the better off you are. It gives you a lot of time to think about what you're doing, what's worked, what's failed. Also, you can kind of maneuver your way. So if you kind of are trying to figure out, should I join a hardcore gym? Should I do CrossFit? All these things, test each one of them out. Even if it costs $20, it's worth it to do that, then go sign a contract, right? And you really need to be open-minded regarding what you're doing in your life. And start, if you haven't been able to build confidence going after what you wanted to go, try different avenues. Really start, I call it thinking outside the box, but I call it smashing the box. There's no right or wrong way sometimes to do certain things because you're your own individual. So what may have worked for somebody else may never work for you at all. We all live entirely different lives. Now, one person lives the same life. I don't even care if you're twins. Maybe if you're those twins that are stuck together, I forgot the name of those guys, they're doing everything together. But I don't care who you are. You all eat at different times, sleep different times, shower different times, work out different times if you work, go to work different times, everything. You have to figure out what works best for you. If you don't figure that out, you're always going to be lost. You need to lead, not follow in this case, and you're the leader of your own self. So please figure that out and take your time. Man, people just try to rush everything, and it's almost like it's like that New Year's resolution shit. Like I'll just use getting in shape again. I need to get in shape. Okay, I'm just gonna run to the gym and sign up. Or I'm gonna run and do this and then just kick it. Sometimes that does work, and I'm not, if you're kind of lazy and you're a slow starter, I call it, which a lot of people are, you may need that boost to say, hey, F it, I'm signing on the 1st of January or whatever you plan on doing, and I'm going to just go at it. If you need to do that, I get it, if that works for you, but most people end up quitting. So what was one of the other things I was going to go through? Let me grab some water here. I don't want to rush it. A lot of times on these podcasts, I kill it, and then I'm like, oh, I forgot to mention this or that regarding that, and you just forget. Yeah, and again, if it is something regarding fitness or anything, a lot of it can also be your eating, and I talk about that too. Just be aware of what you eat and what times you're eating and how much you're eating. If you want to get fit or you want to just start looking better, you can just sometimes just change that up a little bit. And you're just going to start seeing different results. You don't always have to go to a gym because the truth is a lot of people, and it kind of aggravates me because I think a lot of people are always pushing that you have to work out to live a healthy lifestyle. I don't necessarily believe that. I really don't. There's so many other things you can do in your life because I know a lot of people that work out hard, that drink and party hard, right? Is that healthy? I don't know. I know some people that are excessive when working out and almost damage their bodies. They could be either getting too big or they thin out running too much. They start taking a toll on their joints, tendons. And I had some Italian immigrants. My grandmother lived 94 years old. She lived an incredible life and she was healthy for most of it. Now, was she overweight? Yes. Now, you have to understand though, I don't think she minded being overweight. She just wanted to live a long, healthy lifestyle. Just because you're overweight doesn't necessarily always mean you're not healthy, if that makes sense. You may not look as healthy as you think, but I could assure you she had so much energy and she never stopped going. So again, when I hear people saying, what is a healthy lifestyle? It's really whatever you make it. What makes you feel the best? And if you want to look a certain way, because I think now, especially in as decades have gone on in my life, I've realized more people are being, I guess you could say, judged, because I think social media is, obviously involved with that. We're constantly taking a lot of photos. We're almost like our own little private celebrity within our friends and colleagues, right? So we're always taking a lot more photos, where before, you'd only see who you saw. And if you didn't see him at a doing, or at a social gathering, work, or family, no one saw who you really were unless you were a celebrity. But now you're kind of all mini celebrities, so I think a lot of body shaming and a lot of people look at themselves at photos and go, holy shit, or in videos like, oh my God, I have 1,000 friends on Facebook, they all saw me. I get it. But if you really want to start living a healthy lifestyle. Figure out what works best for you. Some people just live, they're heavier. Call it for what it is. Some are just bigger. Some are just thinner. Like my daughter, they're always saying they think she's anorexic. She never stops eating. I'm like, listen, I don't think she's throwing up, whatever. And then finally they said, no, we just think her metabolism's extremely fast. I said, I was very thin. Her mother was very thin. My parents were pretty thin. I mean, when they were younger, fit. And it's ridiculous to sometimes, for her to say, I tell her all the time, she's like, when she was younger, actually, more than ever, is like, I'm too thin, I'm sickly. No, you're not sick. A lot of times I think we put these things on our head that we don't look a certain way, or we can't do something physically that others are doing, or even when you go to the doctor and you're looking there and on a graph, oh my God, you're supposed to be this weight or you're obese. Get the F out of here with that. I mean, I get you scale that on what maybe the best results people are getting at this weight, height, age, and all these different things. But again, everyone is different, and you see it all the time. You see some people living to 100 years old that smoked for 60, 70 years. You see some people that smoke for 3 years and end up with lung cancer. You see other people that are very heavy, outliving many people that are obsessed with fitness. How does that work out? I don't know. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up with that. But again, we're going to circle back to the confidence thing. Be confident first in who you are as a person, as a human being, and then start taking the small steps. Because if you're insecure with who you are, it's going to be really hard to take those small steps or become more confident in what you want to do. Because really, you want the confidence to be who you want to be. And don't let yourself, like a lot of times we argue with ourselves. I say a lot of times, like, sometimes you're like, yeah, I want to get fit. And then you're like, shut up, you're fat. I want to do this. I want to go to college. You're stupid, right? We all do these type of things. I get it. But if you keep saying that to yourself, you don't even have you're arguing, you don't have enough confidence to even argue with yourself back to say, no, you know what, I am a little overweight. That doesn't mean I'm always going to be overweight, right? Or who are you fat against? Now, I get if you're obese and things like that, but a lot of times people aren't as heavy in their mind. They feel like they're 400 pounds, but in reality, they're only 20 pounds overweight. And especially with women, I think we all know that, kind of exaggerate on, oh my God, look at me, look how I look at how I'm this and that. Look, it's really usually over-exaggerated. People are not always looking at you and judging you and going, oh my God, this guy is 20 pounds overweight. Oh my God, their hair is all, oh my God, look at their skin. No, I don't, when you see people, maybe I'm wrong, I think a lot of times we see the best in them. We're excited to see them. We think they look good. We, all these different types of things. Sure, not everybody's in great shape. Who cares? That's life goes on. We're not sitting there going, you know what? I can't be friends with this person because they're a little overweight. Or you know what? They don't look good. Why would they look like this? Now, I think sometimes parents, your siblings and cousins, we make fun of each other's weight or the way we look at certain times because we grew up with them. But strangers, or even some of your colleagues or new colleagues, they're not a lot of times thinking that. So, again, have the confidence to believe in yourself for the love of God. And if you want to check out my Mastering Self-Confidence program, you can just go to masteringselfconfidence.com, or you can just go to my website, richcelenza.com. That's CELENZA. And you can, you can check me out on YouTube. I'm always posting different videos regarding fitness, fashion. I'm going to start doing more things regarding confidence, grooming. I get into many different things. I also visit a bunch of different gyms all over North America, my favorite restaurants. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook as well. So you get a chance, leave a comment. I don't care where you see this or hear it. Either way, I love to hear feedback, good or bad. I love people trashing me, and I love people sharing or whatever. I get both aspects, and I'm very open-minded to say, you know what, if someone confronts me and says, Rich, I don't think this was right or that was right, I think this, and I actually love that because that's how we all learn. My opinion isn't just the way to go. It's just my opinion on what I have seen work over the years. There's many different avenues you could go to master your self-confidence or become more self-confidence. I'm just giving you some ideas on what worked for me. All right? All right. Take care, and if you're traveling, safe travels.